Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of The Awesome with Cody. As usual, I'm your host, Cody, and today we are wrapping up September's theme of awesome Keanu Reeves movies with the Bill and Ted trilogy. So, for the folks who don't know, Bill and Ted Face the Music, the third movie in the trilogy, has just come out on video on demand in select theaters if you're lucky enough to have a place that plays it, which I do not. So I had to watch it at home, and I did 3 times, just to make sure I got the gist of the whole thing. Also, for the people who don't know what Bill and Ted is, A, I'm sorry, but B, you should go watch them. Not the cartoon, not that great, but the movies, pretty goddamn awesome. So a little backstory. Bill and Ted were created by 2 gentlemen named of Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon. These 2 have written a couple things together, besides the Bill and Ted's movies, obviously. They did Mom and Dad Save the World, which is a pretty dope movie from back in the day. They did... let's see, what else they do together? Imagine That, the one with Eddie Murphy, was in that one. Pretty cool. And then individually, they've done a handful of good stuff. Chris Matheson is actually, he wrote the screenplay for a Goofy movie back in 1995. He also did a couple other random movies, too. Nothing of real big note. The gentleman by name of Ed Solomon wrote, he's uncredited writer on X-Men, the 2000 movie. He did Men in Blacks. Unfortunately, he also did the Super Mario Brothers movie, so don't hold that against him. He did Now You See Me 2, and he did a couple other ones too. Television-wise, he also worked on the Bill and Ted cartoon along with Chris, and then the miniseries from HBO called Mosaic that released in 2017, which is pretty good as well. So that's them. And the gentlemen who are Bill and Ted, Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves, the gentleman we're talking about this month, did, they are probably their most notable roles, especially for Alex Winter. Alex Winter is more of a producer and director than he is an actor in nowadays. But respectively, they are Bill S. Preston, or William Bill S. Preston, Esquire, played by Alex Winter, and of course Ted Theodore Logan, played by Keanu Reeves. So the biggest thing is the first movie, all about their time traveling adventures, trying to find notable people from the past to come forward and give their opinion on how they like San Dimas as a city. And so instead of writing the paper, they go back in time and they kidnap famous people from the past and bring them forward and force them to live a couple days in San Dimas and then talk about it on stage in front of a bunch of people. So that's fun. You know what I mean? Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, by far everyone's least favorite of the 3 movies, but I think it's actually pretty dark and actually really funny. So in this one, Bill and Ted die. They get killed by evil robot versions of themselves, played by, oddly enough, themselves. In this one, they go to hell, where they actually sort of kind of meet the devil. I don't know if you'd actually say they meet the devil or not, but they see him. And they get to go and kind of experience their own little hell while they're stuck there before they trick Death into, letting them out of hell. Which then gets him demoted, which you'll find out about in the third movie, Bill and Ted Face the Music, released this year, a couple weeks ago, end of August, which then led to, awesome Bill and Ted movies for September's theme. So in this one, the fun thing about it is the 2 gentlemen are now in their 40s, and they are not really living their best life, and they find out that due to the fact that they've kind of fucked up and didn't actually bring harmony to the world will end in a matter of hours at 7:17 p.m. If they don't have the song that unites all of humanity, will bring very bad things down upon them. And then they go on an adventure alongside their daughters, who are essentially just female versions of them. They idolize their fathers. They believe that their fathers can do no good, and they believe that their fathers are the ones that will bring peace and harmony to the world, because that's what future people told them. So, that makes sense. Anyhow, so Thea, or Theodora Preston, and Wilhelmina, or Billy Logan, then band together along with, and kind of go on their own things. Kind of cool thing about this movie is they are essentially retelling the story of the first two movies, as well as adding an extra little twist in the end of it. And the cool thing about it is the daughters go on the full adventure that their dads do. They go through time to find historic figures, this time musicians, to help them create the greatest song, or help their fathers create the greatest song, and then end up getting killed and going to hell along with their fathers, who go to chase there to save them. And then they talk death into reconciling with the band and bringing them back so they can, save the universe and all that fun stuff. So pretty fun little way to kind of wrap it up. And actually, when doing research for this here episode, I found out that Alex and Keanu are actually down for a fourth movie. Before the release of the Face Music, they actually were interested in doing another one and said if Chris and Ed can come up with a good enough story that they agree with and they dig, they'll come back for a fourth one. So that's pretty cool. In a statement released by Ed, one of the writers, Ed Solomon, it wasn't when we were writing it, but as soon as we saw Bridget and Samara inhabit these roles, I thought for sure this was the interest that people wanted to carry on this forward in Bill and Ted's spirit. I would absolutely let those characters carry it forward. So that's a pretty cool little statement made by one of the creators of Bill and Ted, that they would like to do another one and go from there. So real quick, I'll talk more. Like I said, I'm going to talk more about the third movie than the other two because they're older and most people have seen them already. So the cool thing with this one, again, so instead of being historical figures that come back and talk about what San Dimas means to them in modern day, they take a more musical approach to it because it's all about the song that Bill and Ted have to make, and they go forward. So in this one, they have figures as far back as Louis Armstrong, Jimi Hendrix, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Loon and Grom, all historical, supposed to be real people. I don't know about Ling Lun and Grom, but apparently they're like super old into music and like percussions and stuff. They explain in the movie. Anyways, so there's a couple cool things, and then Kid Cudi actually plays himself in the movie as more of a modern day aspect of it, which is pretty cool. And then Bill and Ted go back in time, or go forward in time, so it's a little different, like I said, the twist in it. They go forward in time trying to get to themselves to find the song that they wrote so they can save the world. Every time they go forward, they end up running into their future selves who are just worse and worse off because they have devoted themselves to something that they can't create, and they've driven their wives away, and their lives have gone into shambles. And so they keep seeing iterations of themselves that are worse and worse down the road until they finally run into an elderly version of themselves in a rest home where they tell them that, hey, we have the song, here it is. And they give them a flash drive, and on the flash drive is written Logan and Preston, and they realize that's the song they're supposed to write. And then once they go forward, they catch up and they find out that their daughters were killed. So they go to hell looking for them, find them and all the people that were killed with them, and they talk death into letting them get out of hell. Hell has had an upgrade, by the way, if you guys don't remember. It's not nearly as dark and dim. It's actually much more filled with fire and lava, but death does have a pretty nice pad overlooking the mayhem and everything down there in hell. So having being fired and demoted, I guess he actually has done a pretty good job. But anyhow, so then they band together and they realize that their daughters are the ones that are supposed to write the song. They never said Bill and Ted, it just said Logan and Preston wrote this song. So then they join together with their daughters and all these musical people from the past, and they create the song, thus saving our world and our universe as we know it. And it's pretty fun. Good times, really hilarious. There's a character in it who is the person who is behind all the death dealing. He goes by the name of, I believe it's Kevin in this, and it's really funny because I kept looking at him and I'm like, I can't tell because he's in full like robot garb and makeup, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's really hilarious in this role. And it turns out it's the guy who plays in Barry on HBO, bald guy. If you've seen that show, you know exactly who I'm talking about, and it's just really, really hilarious. And his name is Anthony Kerrigan, and I'm sorry, he plays Dennis. Caleb McCoy is the name of the robot that kills everybody, and it's really, really hilarious the way they do it. But yeah, so he's in it. It's super hilarious the way they do it. But one of the cool things is they have I don't want to say, best way to put it is they probably have the coolest thing is they have Kelly Carlin, who's George Carlin's daughter, makes a cameo as one of the followers of in the future, and they actually have a digital version of George Carlin greeting people as they enter the future and go to the museum that is history of Bill and Ted. And then they have other musicians like Dave Grohl, who makes cameo. Then you have Weird Al Yankovic makes a cameo. Guillermo Rodriguez and a couple other people make cameos during the credits, which is pretty cool. When everyone's playing the song together, because that's the whole premise of the song, is everyone playing together to save the galaxy and, of course, everyone's lives. So it's pretty cool. It's funny to see these two back together, and the fact that they are basically just those characters for life, no matter what. They play them too well. And both Samara Weaving and Bridget Lundy Payne, who played their daughters, do an amazing job, and do a really good, basically impression of their fathers, but in a more modern world with modern technology, which their fathers have tried to embrace in music and just not done a very good job with it. So it's pretty awesome, and I really do hope maybe they make a fourth one, more focusing on the daughters and their troubles and things like that. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for this week's episode. Tune in next month. We're probably talking about something spooky. Not too sure what it's going to be yet, but it is Halloween time, and October is known for scary stuff. So tune in next week for another episode of The Awesome with Cody. As usual, I'm your host, Cody, and like I always say at the end of these, let's be awesome.